It'll take way more than a weekly review to distill your senility, boys. But hey, A for effort.
Hello. 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 Hello.
10 minutes to review 1 week. Sounds workable. Here's Comic Book Man.
Hey folks, Comic Book Man here. Welcome once again to my video outhouse. It's time for Week in Review. And this is the Week in Review for December the 8th, 2010. This is your look back at what happened during this past week. Like I always say, if you go to ShipShape for this same week and you put these two shows together, you'll have a real good feel for what happened the week of December the 8th, 2010. As always, we're going to start off with this week's shipping. And this week, from Marvel, who shipped a whole bunch of good stuff this week, we have, what do we got? Shadowland, #1. This is actually a one-shot. Shadowland after the fall. This gets everything prepared for Black Panther, who's coming this coming week in Black Panther Man Without Fear, number 513. But this sets the stage for Black Panther's arrival. It's got a lot of people walking around in Hell's Kitchen, a lot of heroes walking around. Where's Matt? What happened? I don't understand. Matt disappeared. Oh, look, T'Challa's here. What's T'Challa doing here? We'll find out in the next issue.
So did they all know he was Daredevil by that time?
Well, the heroes do.
Okay.
The heroes do. Of course, Matt Murdock's had one of the worst kept secrets in the Marvel universe. They've outed him, and they, any number of times they've outed him, and any number of times, they go, well, it's not really him, I guess. Oh, it is him. Back and forth and back and forth. I don't know where they're going to wind up going with that once he actually does come back, which he will eventually, as we all know. But this came out this week, and this sets the stage for next week's Black Panther Man Without Fear 513. Also this week from Marvel, Thor! Look who's back! Old One Eye!
It wouldn't be a week without a Thor book.
Old One Eye's back, and of course you know why Old One Eye's back. There's a movie coming out, and he's in it. That's right, Odin's in the movie, Odin's back here. It actually makes sense thematically within the context of the Thor storyline, because all the Asgardians eventually came back to life in human form. The only one who hasn't come back so far is Odin. Of course, he was the first one to die long before the events in Thor, which led to the Ragnarok.
Siege of Asgard thing?
Yeah, he died long before then. Well, Siege of Asgard is when they came back.
Okay.
Ragnarok was years ago when they killed off the Thor line. Odin hasn't come back. Now he's back, so all will be right with the world once the movie comes out.
He'll be pissed.
Widowmaker came out this week. Black Panther and Hawkeye. Oh, Mockingbird, his wife, is in all sorts of trouble, especially after just coming back from the dead. And Black Widow and Hawkeye are going to find out what the problem is. Ronan, a brand new Ronan, is the cause of all the problems. And this miniseries is going to look into that. It's beautiful cover art. Beautiful cover art. I really like the cover art on this thing. Also this week, look who else is back from the dead. Ares. Ares is back from the dead this week. Of course, in Chaos War, all the dead gods are coming back to life because the big baddie in Chaos War is bringing them all back from the dead in order to fight the living gods. Oh. And so, of course, Ares is coming back. Nobody thought Ares was going to be dead forever, did we? I mean, really. And also this week from Marvel, we had yet another installment of Stephen King's Dark Tower, The Gunslinger. And the interesting thing about this book is it came out huge out of the gates 4 years ago, I think now. And it has since trickled to a stream of readers who read this in The Stand. They're loyal readers. They come in every month looking for the book, and they also pick up the hardcovers too. But compared to what this book was when it first exploded on The Stands, nothing.
Well, is Dark Tower exploring new ground as opposed to The Stand, which is just recreating the book that already existed? Because he didn't write that many Dark Towers.
Well, this fleshes out
right. So
the background stuff, just like The Stand does. But he wrote a lot of... Dark Tower is actually a series of novels, which have never really hit big as far as mass market goes. But there's tons of material there to work with, and that's what these are. From DC this week, we had... First in a Batman Detective Annual crossover, Batman is going to France in this, and Bruce Wayne Batman and Dick Grayson Batman are going to France, and they're going to check up on a Batman of France. And the most interesting thing about this issue is they go to France and they meet the snooty French police commissioner there, who is about as French as you could possibly get, and he has no use for the American Batman coming over to France and telling cheese eaters how they ought to be, conducting their crime-fighting
Does the
activities.
French Batman surrender a lot?
And we don't need you, and why don't you go back home? And you know,
I give up.
you know, we have no use for you here.
Come on into Paris. The streets
Sock-
are yours.
Sacre Blue, go back home. But does Batman? Of course not. It's Bruce Wayne.
He punches him in the face.
He never listens to anybody, much less the French. But that's what this issue's all about, and this will cross over into this year's Batman Annual, which will be out very shortly. Also this week we had Superboy number 2, which is a continuation of from Superboy 1. The story continues directly over with Poison Ivy being not the cause of why all the green is in Smallville, but she's actually coming to investigate it because she felt a disturbance in the green all the way over in Gotham. So the two of them have a team up, which he's leery about, and he probably ought to be, because she betrays him halfway through the issue. And they find out where the green is coming from. Well, all she wants is whatever's causing the green to go crazy. Which they find out, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's very scary and very creepy, which you would expect from Jeff Lemire, who writes creepy, scary, off-the-wall stuff.
Sweet Tooth,
Sweet Tooth. Yeah, well, he writes
which
Sweet
is
Tooth.
creepy and yeah.
But you'd expect that from him. And this is a very good book. Also this week, Fables 100 ship. This is the Fables trade paperback.
It's actually really nice.
$9.95 cover price. It's got all sorts of stories in it. It's got activity pages. Yes, it has activity pages in it. I swear to God. It's got activity pages in it. It's got stories in it. It's got the big culmination of the storyline that's been going on in Fables now for the last year or so between these two characters. And I forget, I read the solicitation on it. I haven't read the whole issue yet, but I flipped through it. And you're getting a lot for $9.95. This isn't just them trying to reach into your pocket. They really did put a lot into this book.
You'll never get it in a bag.
No, you put it in a Silver Age bag.
Okay. I was gonna have to put it on my shelf.
But this shipped this week, and it's well worth the $9.95 cover price. And of course, it was 15% off here at the store. Now, in the indie world, we had Lady Mechanica number 0 that shipped this week, and I'm going to get through these pretty quick.
Number 1.
No, number 1. I'm sorry, number 1. 0 shipped about 2 months ago. Number 1 shipped this week. It's more of the same, more steampunk madness and girlies and stuff. Great art in this book. Starborn number 1. This is the last of the Stan Lee projects coming out from Boom. It's every bit as good as the previous 2. So if you like those, pick them up. And if you didn't, well, you know what to expect.
Stan Lee says, "Come get my book."
Nightmares and Fairy Tales came back to life. Nightmares and Fairy Tales came back to life. It's being published by Slave Labor, which did it before. And there hasn't been one of these in a couple of years, but the creators of it are back in the saddle once more. From Dark Horse, Let Me In. This is based on the Swedish horror film, which did huge box office and is a cult unto itself over in Sweden. This shipped this week. And finally, 27 shipped this week from Image. This has got a second issue that's solicited. It's also had a second print of this issue, which is solicited, so it must have sold out in pre-orders. And I can't tell you exactly what it's about, but it's all about a young guitar player, a young punk rock star who has an amp in his chest. He's got an amp in his chest.
He's always ready to rock.
Also this week we had 2 Christmas specials, one from DC, one from Dynamite. This one is a collection of different stories. It's an anthology book, all themed for the Christmas holidays. This one is one whole story with the Project Superpowers cast. Alex Ross's characters back from the dead over at Dynamite. This one's $5.99. This one's $4.99. And finally, Kids Corner, we had Captain America: The Korvac Saga, which is a kids retelling, I shouldn't say kids, an all-ages retelling of the Korvac Saga from way back in the late 70s in the Avengers. And we had the end of the Tiny Titans Little Archie's crossover that Mr. Art Balthazar, Chicago Southside's own Art Balthazar, and Franco, did up over at DC, and there will probably be a sequel to this. Look for it probably over at Archie. And that's this week's shipping. Now let's do a little bit of news over where the boys usually are at, but they're not, so it's just me today. But let's go over and do a little bit of news in the news desk. And we got a little bit of news, stuff that happened this week. Comic book wise, Kadosha Comics, which is a Japanese imprint, has taken over the American manga distribution of Del Rey's books. Now, Del Rey was distributing Dasha's books in the first place through Del Rey. Del Rey has decided, I guess, not to do that anymore. Either that or Kodash has decided that they want to do it themselves. But they will be picking up the distribution of their own books directly through America. They have 30 volumes planned this summer. First ones are going to start coming out in May 2011. Now, for some reason, Del Rey is going to continue to be distributing to Basha and XXXaholic, which I assume is probably their biggest sellers, which may be the reason why they want to hold on to that. But Kadosha will be distributing all their own stuff starting this summer, so look forward to that. There won't be any break in manga for all you manga fans out there. Mark Waid has quit his job as Chief Creative Officer over at Boom. He will still continue to write for them, though, as a freelancer. He will still be writing Irredeemable, Incorruptible, and The Traveler. But you won't see him doing any more creative control work over at Boom anymore. Of course, the folks over at Boom are very happy for his time with them. He did a lot of work for them. He started off as editor-in-chief. Then he got moved over to this chief creative role. But he's going on to greener pastures now, but he'll still have his finger in the Boom pie. Over at Marvel, Marvel announced the Marvel Architect program this week. Now, what is that? Bendis, Brubaker, Fraction, Hickman, and Jason Aaron's are all working together. They're all huddled up, and they're going to be working on Marvel's next big crossover. Marvel hasn't had any for the last year. Siege was the last one. We've had a bunch of mini events this year. But the next big crossover is going to happen in April, and the word is it's going to be a Martian invasion. Killraven showed up recently in the Avengers, and that wasn't a fluke. That wasn't a mistake. He was actually there because they're planning possibly a Martian invasion coming up starting in April. And like I said, this will be a huge crossover event a la Civil War, a la Secret Invasion, and a la The Siege. So look for that this coming April. Media news. We've got a couple of stories. J.J. Abrams says there is no script ready yet for Star Trek II. Yes, they're talking about ideas. Yes, they're kicking around stuff that they want to do for it. As we've mentioned before in media news, they've got 5 people that may or may not, 5 characters that may or may not be in the movie, which are from the past Star Trek canon, but there's no actual script ready yet. Mark Guggenheim, who is writing the Flash movie, has said this will be a Barry Allen film. No other Flashes, no Jay Garrick, no Wally West, no none of that. It'll be a Barry Allen film, front, top, and center, which makes all the sense in the world because the year-long TV series that came out from CBS was Barry Allen and only Barry Allen. And usually what happens with these characters is whatever your previous incarnation was, expect that to be carried through into a movie no matter how long ago it was. And our last media story, we've talked before about David E. Kelley doing a Wonder Woman series. David E. Kelley revealed this week that while, yes, he wants to do the Wonder Woman series for DC, he's got 2 other series that he's already committed to for NBC, which he's working on right now, which bumps Wonder Woman to 3rd in line, which means you may not see anything coming from Wonder Woman.
She goes nowhere.
You may have nothing coming from Wonder Woman and David E. Kelley for at least a year.
Nobody wants to touch that. They don't want to touch that chick.
So we'll see what's happening. We'll see what's happening with that. Last thing I want to mention is we have no wrestling news this week, or no MMA news this week. Nothing of note happened, at least as far as Bo's concerned, which is where I get a lot of these news stories from. One of the things we're marking this week at the store is our 14th anniversary here at 3149 West 111th Street in the heart of beautiful downtown Mount Greenwood. We have been here this long because of the continuity and stability you, our customers, give us by coming in every single week. So whether or not you've only come in once or twice in the last 14 years, or whether you come in every single week and shop here, thank you all very much. You're the reason why I'm here and this store is here. So thank you very, very much.
What that little tear you got going on?
So that's it. We're done. We're finished. We're out of here. Go to the store's website, though, if you want to see more weekend reviews. And until next time, this is Comic Book Man saying bye.